You know how...
Okay, Julie, you wanted to jump in there.
I mean, do you know how insecure and pathetic you sound? You can't take you seriously.
Eat another donut,
I get
lady.
that you... I'll just finish. I get that you reckon that you're some big shock jock, and I know that you're desperately trying to be relevant, but you sound so insecure and so pathetic. You are
Do you have
irrelevant.
an
Sounds very
argument?
insecure.
Can you put the Dunkin down for a second and give me an argument? Do you have an argument? Or is it just
Sorry, I
Andrew
haven't heard
bad?
one from you.
Yes, I've given you multiple arguments for the social fabric of all of society and how we can improve it, what we need to be doing, what we need to be moving towards. I gave you all the stats. I gave you argument after argument. Can you give me a single argument?
All the stats. You are the oracle. You know all about the universe and what's going to progress humankind. You're just a shock
It's
jock,
not
mate.
psychic ability.
You're just pathetic. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're an aggressive, insecure man.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
We're not taking you seriously.
Well, this is going to go viral, and a lot of people are going to take me seriously, and all they're going to remember is that I told you that you couldn't put down the Dunkin' Donuts long enough to make an argument.
Look. So, God bless you, Piers Morgan, for putting this on. Andrew Wilson. Look, I think you can already see where this is going. Oh boy. So Andrew Wilson totally annihilates. I haven't even seen this yet, but I'm pretty sure he's going to annihilate these unhappy looking feminist women here. Piers Morgan throwing some big juicy steaks out to the wolf that is Andrew Wilson, and you best believe Andrew Wilson's gonna chow down. Without further ado, let's see how this goes down.
Very patiently, thank you. This seems to me, this whole debate so far highlights the way this debate has been framed now for years, which is that any attempt to question what is obviously grotesquely unfair and unequal and indeed unsafe is branded transphobic, even when there's no evidence to suggest that the people saying it are transphobic.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, basically everybody in this panel is wrong. So to start with, this person says, well, you know, the thing is you just want to erase transgender people.
Sorry, real quick, look at the happiness, the joy on Piers Morgan's face. You know that he was like, we got to bring back this Andrew Wilson, and we got to get the fattest feminists on there that he could just destroy. You could say what you want about Piers, but I think he's an absolute genius.
People all together, Pierce, and then says, I wasn't saying that. Pierce, I wasn't saying that you want to erase trans people, not you specifically, when clearly that's what you were saying. At least get behind the statements that you're making. The TERF starts out by saying, well, I've been here reinforcing women's rights this entire time, right? And then the TERF says, right on top of that, well, but, you know, poker's very misogynistic. She can't wait to dunk on men. Very first thing she does is dunk on men in order to somehow elevate women, right? You're all insane. The truth is that the only reason that this happens to begin with is because women vote for it. They vote for it. They vote blue. They vote left. They vote in the same politicians who get behind all of this stuff. You're the deciding vote, right? And you have empowered women to do that as much as possible for the political process to do that. All of you are responsible for this. Every last one of you.
Really glad that you're so perfect.
Emily as well?
Trump.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this one. I'm good.
Well, we'll see.
Well, not just what Andrew kept saying, all of you. Do you include Emily, Andrew, or not?
Well, I just assumed it. I just assumed it. But this is the truth. The truth is we begin with these crazy ideas, right? Under patriarchal rule, under men, this would never have happened, right? If you look at how men vote, they vote against this nonsense. And it's fathers who are on the front lines against it. It's women who are trying to transition the children, not men. Give me a case example of where male fathers are trying to transition their kids. It doesn't exist. It's a female-only phenomenon. Literally a female-only phenomenon.
That is absolutely true. When you see these videos of like these parents transitioning the children, it's always the mother. Almost 99% of the time, it's the mother that's transitioning their children. Yeah, and there's usually no father involved, or if the father is involved, he's so soyed up, he's so cucked that he doesn't fight against it. But yes, it is almost always the mother that transing their kids.
That is insane.
Yeah, show me one male father who's fighting in the courts to transition their son to a girl.
Actually,
Nowhere.
I made a
That's a reach.
podcast
I
series
see men on
about this.
TikTok that are diseased.
Ooh, see, revealed herself right here. Revealed herself. She was like, I voted for Trump. I'm not included in this. And then right here, well, listen, that's a reach. I see some men. I have no evidence, but I see some men that are diseased.
I interviewed quite a few fathers that
All
are
right, well,
pushing for this. But the point is that this is something that benefits men, and it's men that are the ones that are saying they're women. They are all of a sudden the oppressed, and feminists like me are the oppressor, and that they they're too weak and pathetic to fight and play against other men. And what do? They come and beat up on women.
Do you vote left, ma'am?
I don't know what vote left means.
Do you vote for the left-wing party of your nation?
Do you vote for Democrats?
Do you vote for what would be considered
British.
the Democrats of your nation?
No, I wouldn't have voted for the Democrats. I would not have voted for the disgrace of that party. And I also wouldn't have voted for Trump. But the point is,
if we look, let me finish with a follow-up. Very quickly.
We live in a different context.
What I'm saying to you is this. It's very simple. If you look at the voting patterns of women in both the UK and the United States, they're usually the deciding vote when it comes to degeneracy. That includes it includes on the trans issue. So here you are. It's the very thing that you push for empowerment of women that is now causing your very problem. You have to now convince women. Men are already there. Men have already said, nope, we don't want this. We never wanted it.
That are claiming
it's garbage.
To be women.
Yeah, apart from the women who are claiming to be men, which now it's almost equalized. Remember that part, right? This phenomenon, though, is categorically rejected by men and reinforced by women. And TERFs like you did everything that you could possibly do in order to push that. You did everything you could do to push that. And now you get to reap the whirlwind. So I don't care if women in their sports teams are getting their teeth kicked in. I don't care. Reap what you sow. As you sow, so shall you reap. And you get exactly what you deserve.
You seem like a lovely person.
I'm sorry that you have to deal with the consequences of your own actions.
Piers,
Ads. Well, you seem like a lovely person. Oh, well, you seem like a lovely person. With your scowl there, your scowl just like you can already tell the type of person this lady is just by looking at her, just by her body language, the way that she just scowls right there. Oh my word, I'm never. You seem like a lovely person. Oh my word. I can't wait until I could skip over these ads, get back to it, and see Andrew Wilson destroy these women that you would see shopping for shoes at Al Bundy shoe store.
being a covert feminist. Let's remind people of that clip which went viral.
Most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully have some virtue, but also bring a lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother.
So, Emily, where do you sit? Are you a covert feminist like Tommy? Did you agree with Andrew's assessment?
I'm not a covert feminist. I am very outwardly, the word feminism has been hijacked by like the woke left, who uses it as an excuse for psychotic women and liberals to scream on the streets, we want equal rights when we have equal rights. I'm more so an empowered woman who encourages other women to, be independent, work hard, chase your dreams. And that doesn't come at the expense of being feminine. It doesn't come at the expense of, now as a feminist, you need to eradicate all men. I don't think everything is so black or white. Listening to that debate, they spoke a bit about gender roles, and here's my take on that. If you're gonna have gender role expectations for your man, that's a personal choice. Emily Austin has high expectations of her man. He has to be working hard. He should be successful. He should, pay attention to how I feel. Like, there should be certain gender roles. He has to provide.
Ooh, this woman. Ooh, covert feminist right here. You have to pay attention to how I feel. and you can already tell she uses the words like, I'm an empowered woman. Covert feministo right here. Oof. Can't wait till Andrew Wilson tears her to shreds.
For the family, not solely, but he should be providing for his family. These are gender rules. As a woman, I learned how to cook. I know how to clean. My grandmother always tells me, my mother tells me, Emily, you're going to be a good wife. You're going to be loyal. You're going to be supportive. You're going to act like a lady. Now, there's many women who don't want to play into the gender roles, which is fine. But then don't expect your man to go out and become masculine. I think it's equal. Like, set the expectation and then date people who meet your expectation. But in terms of covert feminism, first of all, it's such a silly term. Either you support women or you don't. And I'm not talking about the trans argument right now.
Not only is it not a silly term, it is true that most of the political pundit women on the right are covert feminists. And I'll just ask you the same exact question I asked Tommy.
Because the word feminism got hijacked.
Let me finish the question. Let me finish the question. No, I'm talking about all the way back to first wave feminism. Okay, you are feminists, and I'll explain by asking you the same question. If it is men's duty in society to procure, refine, protect resources, which then women and children are the primary beneficiaries of, which they are. What societal duty, which is equal to that, do women have? What is it?
Women, we're going to have children. Men will never understand the burden of carrying a child.
So you have a duty to reproduce?
I expect women to be able to cook and clean.
Wait, so women have a duty to reproduce?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So that's the one duty that's on par. Great. So that's one duty that's on par with that. I totally agree. Are they? Or is it the case that in every single nation in the West, we are under reproductive rates in every single one of them? In every single nation in the West, we are lower than where we need to be for reproduction. So it seems that men are fulfilling their social duty and women are not. And the problem with the right is that the right doesn't ever address this, and right-wing females never address this. Instead, they say it's equal. Work and motherhood are equal. They're not equal. Not only are they not equal, but let me give you another example here. As you dive into this, try to understand that what you do is you actually hamstring women by telling women they should go and be girl boss babes and go to college starting in their 20s. They actually destroy their prime reproductive years. They destroy them by having families later. It's the primary cause.
Okay, that's silly. I'm 23.
Hang on, listen. It's the primary cause.
That woman's 23? I thought she was like 33, like 35. She's 23? What the hell?
Reproduction crisis. It's the primary cause of the reproduction crisis in the West, is that with women defer families till they're in their 30s. Why do you think the average age of marriage is 32 in the United States? I think it just got raised to 33. Yes, you're going to have way less kids. Okay, part of girl bossing is when you say career women are right on par with mothers. They're not, and society should be glorifying one, not socially shaming the other, but you shouldn't give them the same elevation you give to mothers and matrons of families. That is pure covert feminism.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it's the same thing like with men's roles. Like, yes, are there fathers that stay home and watch their kids? Yeah, there are. We're not saying it should be illegal, but we don't elevate stay-at-home fathers to at the same level as fathers that go out and work and earn a living for their family and provide for their family. Like, we don't do that in our society. So that's how it should be with women as well.
I'm going to answer you with the following. I don't believe in the glorification, and especially I see it amongst Gen Zers, of not having children. I actually think it's disgraceful, and I don't think it's a flex at all to brag about not wanting to repopulate. It just shows me that you're so insecure that you're going to be a bad parent that you're not doing it. On the other hand, I'll ask you a question in return. Would you prefer a child growing up in a damaged family with a mother who clearly wasn't ready to raise a child and raise potentially what could be, a deranged child who grows up to be a serial killer or a murderer, or how about this, just a really bad person, rather than wait a few more years until she's ready to have her kid and then raise a mensch? What do you prefer?
Well, so here's what we can see when we break this down. What we see when we break this down is the abuse happens in the public school, where you're 100 times more likely to be essayed than you are if you're in a Catholic church. We see that if it is the case that you're a single mother, you are a single mother, especially by choice, that is usually the selection of stepfather that leads to the abuse of the children. We also can see via the stats that you're completely just insane here. You are actually, if you stay inside of a family where you mom and dad don't even like each other, your outcomes are still better than if you, the girl boss, goes, I just don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel fulfilled, and so I need to go and date the neighbor down the road or whatever, right? The truth is that regardless of your fulfillment, children are the duty. The next generation is the duty, and women have a duty to keep the family intact as well. They're responsible for most of the divorces. They file for the most amount of divorces, not because of abuse, but because of irreconcilable differences. And when asked, I don't feel fulfilled. And it's like, that's not how we run a society. It's literally a death sentence for our whole society. Look at what's going on in the UK. It's a death sentence for them.
What's funny is that this woman, didn't she just bring up a little while ago that, women are having babies later because they're just not secure. They're going to do a good job raising those kids, and she doesn't agree with it. But on the flip side, then she goes and brings up, yeah, but would you rather have it as a family that isn't ready to have a kid and to grow up and to raise a horrible person? I mean, obviously, ideally, we don't want bad parents. No one is, but that's a whole different, like there are people who have had kids at young ages before they were ready that went on to become good parents and raise good children. There's no, as far as I know, there's no data or proof that shows that the older you are, the more ready you are to have children. I don't think it comes with the age. I think it comes, I mean, obviously, unless you're like 13 or something like that. But I'm talking about if you're a legal adult. Legal adults. I haven't seen any data or have any proof that shows that, well, if you're at 19, there are people who've gotten pregnant at 19 who weren't ready to have children that went on to raise good children. And likewise, there were people who are, 33, 34 that were ready to have children that didn't go on to raise good children. There's no real measure in that or no real correlation as far as I know. I mean, I haven't done in-depth studies, so I really don't know. But as far as just my observations in life, I haven't seen strong correlation when it comes to being a young adult versus an older adult having children and whether or not you're going to raise good children or not, or correlation on whether you were ready or not to have a children and having a correlation on whether you were a good parent or not.
Okay, let me bring in Stasia, who's been grimacing throughout that. Stasia, why are you so outraged by what he's saying?
I'm not outraged. I just think that you all are fairly stupid. And everything that's being said is ridiculous. And it's just like a comedy show.
You think you can change your sex? How can you ever call anybody stupid? How can you ever call anybody stupid?
Yeah,
you
she should sit that one out.
Hey, I'm just sitting back watching the shit show happen. I'm here for it.
All right,
how is
Julie,
that
You started the shit
you were
show,
not.
honey.
Well, hang on. I want to get Julie to respond to Andrew.
Oh, I zoned out and I thought I'd woken up in the 1950s in some TARDIS. You can't take him seriously. It's ridiculous.
Oh, you mean in the 1950s? You mean in the 1950s when we had intact families where 95% of women were getting married as virgins, where families weren't being broken up, where crime was extremely low, where you only needed one income to support an entire household, where mental illness was at an all-time low? Like that 1950s? I'm sorry that I make a reference to a time.
Are you married? Are you married?
Yeah, I'm married. How do you make married with many children?
Is your
How
wife
about
happy?
You married with children? Oh, she's ecstatic.
No, I'm 23.
She's
I'm
gonna
a boss
bring me-
lady girl, which seems to be driving you crazy.
Yeah.
Working, making money,
I'm just pointing
waiting
out
for the right guy to
the
come
only
along.
thing you have no arguments. You just try to assault me personally. You can try, but the truth is that I've reproduced. I am
How
married.
did I assault
do
you? I
have
asked
the
you
life.
if you're married.
No, you didn't. You were making a passive-aggressive
I mean,
feminist
to be fair,
how
to
did
be
I
fair to
assault
about
Andrew,
how my
You
wife
sound
must be
literal.
miserable.
Andrew,
Your wife must be miserable.
to be fair, Andrew is
She might
practicing
be.
what he preaches. I want to bring in another clip from a debate between Megyn Kelly and Matt Walsh on the similar theme. Let's watch a little clip from this.
Again, having said that, I like the guy. I'm getting a little tired of his nonstop judgment of women who make different choices than the ones he wants us to make. Sorry, Matt, you're not our Jesus. We don't answer to you. Like, live your life the way you want to live it and stop judging everybody who makes a different choice. I'm sick of it.
Covert feminist.
And she went on to say this about young men not wanting to marry career women. Let's take a listen to this.
We're now telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not attractive if they also work. If they choose to, let's say, do what I'm doing and what you're doing, and like get their voice out there. But I'll stick with me just because I think conservatives listening to this will like the thought of another Megyn Kelly voice up and coming.
Now, Matt Walsh responded by saying
Piers,
men
can I
are
tell you the
generally not
beauty of all of
attracted
this?
to ambitious career. Well, hang on a minute. I want to read a clip from Matt Walsh, or a quote. He said, men are generally not attracted to ambitious, career-driven women, and women's first priority should be children and looking after the home. So, Emily, what do you think of that? If you've ever felt like you're being watched online, it's unfortunate because...
Well, while Piers is shilling, let me shill a little bit. What are your thoughts on this debate so far? What do you think about Andrew Wilson tearing apart these feminists, two fatty boom baddies that are outright lefty feminists, and then the right wing that isn't as extreme as the two fatty boom baddies, but she is still a covert feminist trying to sneak in her weaselly feminist ways, trying to be a girl boss, yes, slay queen, but still fails and gets it wrong. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Give this video a like if you are enjoying this. Let's continue.
Is you make a choice who you want to spend your life with. Like, I know many men are okay with, a woman who works, and I know many men are not. And that's the great part, is you choose who you want to partner with. So if you want a woman to be home and have 5, 6, 7, 8 children, which is a beautiful choice to make in life, then go for it. If you want a woman who can do both, work and have children when she's ready, 2 or 3 children, then go for that type of woman. If you want a woman who's never home and going to be, on the road all the time, and trust me, there are many beta men who would love that, then go for that. Like, nobody is forcing you to be with a woman that doesn't cater to your needs, the same way no one's forcing any women to be with a guy like Andrew Tate that's going to beat you and make you miserable. We have choices, and we need to make calculated, wise choices as to what personally is best for you.
The Andrew Tate fallacy, instantly moving over to Andrew Tate is evil and a representation of men who believe in a patriarchal system. Here's the truth. The truth of the matter is that we should be doing for society what is socially good for society. If we can't reproduce our society, that's a really bad social ill for society. When you have propaganda that is telling women to go get useless degrees in psychology and
not for
sociology.
Society.
Yeah, that's great.
Let me finish. It's actually
Andrew,
hang
on. Just Andrew, quickly. Is Megyn Kelly a covert feminist then?
Not covert, overt. She's an overt feminist. Covert's out for Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly came out and said women should be prioritizing career over family. That's what Matt Walsh's issue was with her, and he's absolutely right. The guy struck it out of the ballpark. Socially, in society, we should be moving women into a familial role. It's not to say that women can't work. Nobody's saying women can't work. We're just saying that if you're going to glorify things in society, it should be the mother in the intact home and the wife and the caretaker at home, not the girl boss. That's insane, and it's a societal death sentence. Walsh knows it. Everybody knows this at this point. If you can't reproduce your own nation, you don't have a nation.
100% correct. And also, too, this woman... she was like, well, yeah, but if if a man should make the choice, if they want, the wife that does this or the wife that does that, it should be their choice. Well, Megyn Kelly was on her show bitching and complaining about how men are choosing not to go after these ambitious women. She was bitching and complaining about it. So no, apparently all you girl bosses don't think it's great if we make a choice. Because now that we're showing that younger men are not choosing the girl bosses, it makes you upset and you think that's wrong. And that us, man, we're getting it wrong because of it. So no, I don't know what this woman thinks. I don't know if she agreed with Megyn Kelly or not and I don't know her opinions on men moving toward non-ambitious women. But if she's like Megyn Kelly, but all the Megyn Kellys in the world clearly have an issue with the men not going with the girl bosses.
Do you know how...
Okay, Julie, you wanted to jump in there.
I mean, do you know how insecure and pathetic you sound? You can't take you seriously.
Eat another donut, lady.
I'll just finish. I get that you reckon that you're some big shock jock, and I know that you're desperately trying to be relevant. But you sound so insecure and so pathetic. You are
irrelevant. Do you have an
Sounds
argument?
very insecure.
Can you put the Dunkin down for a second and give me an argument? Do you have an argument? Or is it just
Sorry,
Andrew
I haven't heard
bad?
one from you.
Yes, I've given you multiple arguments for the social fabric of all of society and how we can improve it, what we need to be doing, what we need to be moving towards. I gave you all the stats. I gave you argument after argument. Can you give me a single argument?
All the stats. You are the oracle. You know all about the universe and what's going to progress humankind. You're just a shock
it's
jock,
not
mate.
psychic ability.
You're just pathetic. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're an aggressive, insecure man.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
We're not taking you seriously.
Well, this is going to go viral, and a lot of people are going to take me seriously, and all they're going to remember is that I told you that you couldn't put down the Dunkin' Donuts long enough to make an argument. Now, can you make one or not?
Oh, you know, this is schoolboy.
By the way,
tactic.
a real man doesn't speak down to a woman the way you do.
I don't care what you think.
You're not a real man. You're actually very feminine, if you ask me. You're a very feminine man.
Yeah, no.
Ooh, man, these freaking women, they're all getting triggered. The hens, their feathers, they're getting ruffled over here. What's funny, though, is that these women could insult Andrew by insinuating that his wife must not be happy. Oh, by asking him, are you married? You know, they're getting personal with Andrew Wilson, calling him a shock jock. They could all insult Andrew Wilson. But these strong girl bosses, when Andrew Wilson insults them back by correctly telling this woman to stop thinking of putting down the Dunkin' Donuts, well, all of a sudden the sisterhood right here, this girl, the sisterhood has to stick up to her fatty boom batty sisters in arms.
Nobody cares what you think real men are.
You're pathetic, mate.
Yeah.
And how
nobody cares what you think a real man is.
That you're such a big boy by slating, bringing in personal insults about women's appearance.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
I'm sorry. You guys think that you can insult people.
When you go out into the big wide world from behind your macho
Well, one day when I go out in the big wide
there.
world, I hope people will take me as seriously as they do women who make zero arguments.
Wait, why are you on
Piers
like Morgan? Shouldn't you go be working right now, making money for your family to support? How do you have time to come? I'm working. I don't have kids. What are you talking about? I don't have a husband. I'm 23 years old. I'm not married with kids yet, but it seems like you should go be working right now to fulfill your gender role as a big, strong man.
I am working right now.
Oh, we'll get to work.
Let me ask.
You're not being paid to be here.
Yes, lady. I'm going to get paid a lot of money ultimately to be here. You have no idea what you're talking about. If you saw my bank account, what I make doing stuff like this, it would make you weep.
Show us your bank account to make yourself feel more secure.
It would make you weep. Yeah, hey. The only thing you could think of was to try to assault my bank account, lady.
Assault?
That's it. That's the only thing you could think of. The only thing you could think of is you don't work enough. You don't work enough. It's ridiculous.
Let me play. I want to play Emily. I want to play Emily a clip. This has gone viral too. It's had 120 million views. There's a woman who suggests she's about to leave her husband because he doesn't do enough domestic chores. Let's take a look.
If you do not participate in an equitable way in your home, and so what does that look like? What does it look like to change these dynamics? Well, we need to really assess in our homes what the work looks like. Because in most homes, the data supports this, women do a disproportionate amount of the work. They just do. They do more of the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the childcare while also working full time. And men have more time for things like their hobbies, like golf, for example, or just working out, running a marathon, right? And so we need to have hard conversations about what our time looks like. What our labor in the home looks like. What is invisible labor? We have to talk about these things. And when we don't, the alternative is that you no longer have a marriage, or you don't have a happy one at least. And so I share this story because I don't think I'm alone in this experience. And I want people to know that there's hope and that if you have a willing and able partner, you can change this. You can absolutely change this.
I mean, Emily, I would travel continents to avoid a lady like that. But what's your view of what she's saying?
To me, her rant, take away the gender for a moment, because I actually believe women are a lot messier than men, just in terms of our makeup, our clothing, the abundance of clothing that we have. I think we definitely purchase more accessories than men. And I think we also, like I said, there are gender roles I believe in should be responsible for most of the cleaning. Then on the other hand, if you're marrying a slob, A, you should know who you're getting into a household with. But B, if you're in a happy marriage and you have a sense of communication, why not just sit your partner down and be like, hey, I don't mind cleaning up after you, but when you throw your filthy socks on the bathroom sink or you leave your wet towel and we have mold, I'd appreciate if you could not do this. But I don't think it gets to an extent where like divorce is justifiable. unless your husband is like a hoarding pig that's unbearable to live with. I think she's being a little bit dramatic here. And we all can acknowledge women are a bit messier than men, and it should be just like looking after one another. It's not a big deal to clean up after your partner, and that could go both ways. Not everything is so black or white.
Andrew?
Well, first of all, stay-at-home moms are mostly nowadays parking their kids in public school for most of the day. Oftentimes, the kids are taking buses from the city to the school and buses home. They're not even driving them. Okay, not even driving them. And they have fully furnished lunch, even breakfast at most of these public schools, right? They don't even have to send them with a lunch anymore. They have all day to do household chores while men are working, right? No, women do not do a disproportionate amount of work in comparison to men. That's absurd. No labor statistic supports that. And even if we were to take household chores and put it on the table against a man's work, doesn't even come close, even with children, especially because you're parking them most of the time in a public school for most of the day. This lady who's making this TikTok, totally insane, completely disconnected from reality, has no idea how this actually works.
She's not
Okay,
totally
Julie,
insane.
your response to
You're
that.
going to make a choice to marry a girl who's going to cook and clean and do everything. And me as a woman, I'm going to make a choice to hire a housekeeper one day so that I don't have to cook and clean because that's my choice. The problem is you're too obsessed with other people's choices. Live and let live. Like, take a step back and recognize not everyone has to be as extreme as you are. Like, yes, women
live
should
and
cook
let
and
live
clean,
until
but
it
if they're
comes
not
to the
perfect,
transgenders,
if they're not
huh?
perfect,
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's
I
crazy
do
that
live
you
and let live.
till
Don't
it
play
comes
in
to
my
the
sport. I don't
transgenders.
care if you're transgender. I don't care if you're transgender.
I don't understand.
Go for
It's
it.
live and
I'm not
let
marrying a
live.
transgender.
Let them go play their
Let them
sports.
live and let live. Absolutely.
Live and let live. You
no.
people contradict
That's not
yourselves so
equality.
much.
That's their
It's absurd.
superiority.
Yeah, it's
No,
not
I think you're
superiority.
just
What's
stupid
going on right
because I'm
now,
explaining myself and making sense.
The explanation makes no
Let
sense.
me-
You're
Transgenders
talking about both
I
sides
saw
absolutely
of
should
your mouth.
live
Stacia
and let
wanting-
live. They should not participate in sports.
Let
It's called a
Stacia-
boundary.
Let Stacia talk. Stacia, you wanted to say something?
You're just all walking contradictions. It's crazy that you can even say something like that. You guys are all fighting with each other about live and let live, and we're having an entire conversation about trans people and their ability or lack of ability to be in sports. So it's wild to watch him with the cigarette, like think he's all pompous, and you over there acting like it's just ridiculous.
Hey, I'm the only one here who is consistent. I said I don't care if you people go in and beat the tar out of women. I don't care. Go do it. They voted for it. I think they need a taste of their own medicine. I think it's good for them. And maybe some of this madness will stop if they actually have to take accountability and deal with the consequences of their own voting.
You're actually insane. You're in
Stop.
your
I want to
rage
make it very
Ju-
clear. I don't care that you're transgender. I genuinely don't care if today you're a woman, tomorrow you're a man, the next day you want to identify as a cat or a dog. I really don't. Like, it's not my issue. But when you make it my issue, when you want to play in my sport, I was a tennis player my whole life. If a man came along who identified as a woman, who I will respect as a woman, I will respect your pronouns, but you want to now eradicate women's sports, now it's my problem too.
Just
as long as
live
it's
and
not my
let
problem
live,
and you go
man.
do you, live exactly. Thank you.
Just live and let live, man. We'll just be hippies and a
Okay, let
commune
me ask.
together
I
until it
want to
affects
end by
you.
asking Julie. Okay, I want to end by asking Julie, because Julie, you've been talking about feminism for decades. We're now in a place, a strange place, I think, where women have more freedom to do all the things that maybe previous generations of women did not have freedom to do. And many, including me, actually, think that's a very good step forward. The only downside to this is that birth rates around the world are beginning to plummet to dangerously low levels. And Elon Musk keeps warning that if they carry on like this, it's going to be a very, very serious problem for the future of the planet. So let me just ask you, Julie, when you look at the progress that feminism has made, you can see so many ways that women's rights have been promoted in a better way. But are you concerned about the dropping birth rates and the fact that women no longer, because so many more are going out to work and everything else and prioritizing work perhaps over family, that birth rates ultimately are obviously going to reduce, and that ultimately that could be a very self-defeating thing for the planet?
We need
Absolutely
to pay
not.
attention to the fact that many women, when they have children, have no support, no childcare, feckless fathers who leave if they're there in the first place, where there is very little maternity leave, hardly any financial security, particularly if that woman is in an abusive relationship and can't rely on that second wage coming into the home. So have a look at what will make it more attractive and feasible for women to have babies. And also have a look at the women who are choosing not to have babies because they don't want to be hitched to and trapped with a man who, quite frankly, isn't the love of her life because of his behaviour and because of his shortcomings. That's what we need to be doing.
Okay,
Piers, can I add
Stassi, I
something
want
too
to
that I
ask
think
you a
is
final
unfair
question.
that you haven't
Yeah,
mentioned?
I mean, Emily, I'll come to you and Andrew for final word in a minute. But Stassi, it just struck me as a question I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about drug cheats in sport? You know, when people are caught doping to enhance their performance, how do you feel about that?
Obviously, you know how I feel about that. You're baiting me to twist this around on the trans issue, and
I've no idea how you feel about it. I've never asked you. I've never asked you before. How do you feel about it?
Obviously, I'm not in support of people taking drug enhancements to do better in sports.
But why? Why are you not in support of that, given it just gives them an unfair advantage, which you want for trans athletes? What's the difference?
I see exactly what you're trying to do, and I'm not walking into it. It's very clear where my stance is with trans people. I don't support. I just think that you're trying to walk me into something, and it's not going to work for me.
So you don't support
argument.
the
Now, I wanna add a
enhancement of
point.
performance through illegal drugs? Okay, that's good. We're halfway there, I think. Emily.
Yeah.
Piers, I just want to bring up a point that, and personally, I don't know the stats. I'd be very curious into looking into it, but I think it would be remiss to not mention the fact that many, many women, personally I know a bunch, but I want to see the stats on it, are trying to have kids that are doing rounds of IVF, spending all of their money that they've saved up trying to have a kid, are infertile, are having miscarriages, never got their period. I think we also have a really serious health crisis going on, at least in the United States. I can't speak about the UK, that Bobby Kennedy is very well aware of, about hormones in the foods that are making it a lot harder for women to have children, because I know many, many women who would love to have a big, beautiful family, but can't even conceive their first child. So I don't know if it's necessarily everyone making a decision to not have kids, rather a health problem. And I'd advise everyone to look into that too.
It's totally absurd. So first of all, the reason they need IVF and things like this because they defer families till they're in their 30s, right? It's not healthy for women to start having babies in their 30s.
No,
not a great idea.
that's not true.
Yeah, not only is it true,
I have
but
a 24-year-old friend who can't get pregnant.
I can statistically prove it. The exception doesn't make the rule. The truth of the matter is you can even look at infant mortality rates. And in the United States, we have some of the highest in the world. And that is correlated directly to the fact that women are aged out of their 20s when they're having children. You can even see this in other nations as well. Back over to the TERF's argument, she says, well, wait a second. We should really be deferring to women and incentivizing women for more stuff that women want. We do this all the time. We defer to everything that is that they want. By the way, you have free tuition. You do get all sorts of free health care. And by the way, it's the poor people who have the most amount of children, not the middle class or the rich who do family planning. So this idea that you're just going to give the idea that you're just going to give women money and that's going, or some type of support in this way, and that's going to be what moves them towards children, is not true. Usually it's things like religion, religiosity, your key component to traditionalism, your idea of community has nothing to do with family leave. It has nothing to do with that. Never has. The birth rate's been this way, and that's going to be what moves them towards children. It's not true. Usually it's things like religion, religiosity, your key component to traditionalism, your idea of community has nothing to do with family leave. It has nothing to do with that. Never has. The birth rate's been dropping like this, like a rock, especially since the 1900s, right? But even in the 1800s. But now, since birth control especially, and women's liberation, the sexual revolution, it has dropped so drastically, we can't even reproduce the population. These aren't answers. You're not answering any problems. None.
It's just because of men like you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's men because of men like me. I know. It's men like me. The ones who actually reproduce. It's because of men like me who actually reproduce. I get it. That makes
That's all these women had. That is the best they could do, is just these personal attacks. Not one of them gave any valid arguments or rebuttals to what Andrew said. And now they have to cope and seethe. This one is ready to go right here, waiting to, this is what the cheeseburger sees right before their final moments right here. Andrew Wilson, brilliant job by him. Also, brilliant job by Piers Morgan once again booking this. He knew full well what he was doing, and we were all here for it. What did you guys think about this? Sound off in the comment section below. Smash, click, tap that like button. Just make sure that like button has been tapped on. And if you really enjoyed this clip, subscribe to my channel. I got much more clips like this. I got more Piers Morgan debates. I have more Andrew Wilson debates, culture war debates, politics debates, religious debates. Not even just debates, just more political stuff in general that I think you'll really enjoy. So check it out.